Born and raised in the motherland, chasing a better life. Story of an immigrant.
Concrete pastures.
Concrete pastures.
Hello, family. Welcome back to Concrete Pastures. I am Nancy Mwantuali. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and a huge shout out to our sponsor, BetterHelp. To anybody who's new to this space, to this platform, welcome to the family of your fellow immigrants, your fellow dreamers. We inspire each other through our stories. We also give insight on what it's like to be an immigrant anywhere in the world. We celebrate the joys, the laughs, and the bravery that being an immigrant brings. Today, I will be talking to, she's joining us from here in the US, but she is Congolese, Democratic Republic of Congo. For anybody who is not familiar, Congo is one of the largest countries in Africa, is 6 times the size of Germany. So today we are talking about Congo. And of course, we have to bring every one of us stories. And this one, for some of you, might find the details of this conversation disturbing. So just if you have children around, I would ask that you don't listen to this one or watch this one with your children. We are talking about the civil war in Congo that started in 1996. Recently, I was doing my research, and according to the BBC report, in May of 2022, nearly 100 people were killed. Victims included young children, and this was just an overnight attack by the rebels. So far, it's estimated that 6 million people have been killed in this war. Let's meet our guest. She is a war rape survivor, and she is breaking her silence with us. And I'm so honored and grateful to have her here. And also, I'm grateful to Martine for referring her to our space, to our platform. Her name is Coco Ramazani. She was born in Democratic Republic of Congo on the eastern side of the country. And of course, like I mentioned, Congo is found in the central of Africa. She is one of 22 children in her family from her father's side. Ever since she was a child, she always was fascinated about the beauty of the environment. She loves nature and the peace that it gives her. She's a speaker for women's rights, children, and their safety. She speaks 4+ languages. That's French, Swahili, Lingala, English, lega, and a lot more. She has earned her bachelor's degree of science here in the US in business studies and earned a master's in business administration from Souther New Hampshire University here in the US. She has a book out that was dedicated to her, actually. The title of that book is Tell This to My Mother. And Dr. Joseph Mwantuali is the one telling the story. It's in English and also in French. Again, like I mentioned, Coco is joining us from here in the US in New Hampshire. How are you, Coco? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank
much,
you.
Nancy. I can't thank you enough for taking time and to give me a space, the opportunity to share my story, which is the story of so many Congolese women and children and not only Congolese, but also African in general, women and children, because my story is from how I was born, which family I was born in, and how I grew up, and the way I got it, education, and it's the same system in Africa that children are suffering from, and it's the root of anything that African children or African adult endure for years and even until they die. So I'm very, very grateful to be here.
Oh,
And
no, it's an honor. I'm grateful that you are here,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
For starters, again, I want to take you back to Congo to tell us how it was growing up in Congo.
Yeah, as you said, I am one of the 22 children. My
Mhm,
father, Ramazani, was a businessman, successful businessman. I didn't have a chance to know him, um, nor my mother, because they died before I can have any knowledge of anybody.
mm,
So my father was a very successful businessman, from the tribe of Lega in eastern of Congo, um, which from Bukavu region. Bukavu, we have a border with Rwanda, in Changugu. Um, so that's where my father came from, and so I am from there. My mother also came from the same region, so they were all from the same tribe. Um, so my father had 22 children in general, from several women, five mothers, I can say. My mom was the third wife for those five. So the last woman didn't have kids with him. But so four women gave birth to, to all those kids, and so that was my father's lifestyle, polygamy, and as all rich men in Africa, they think they are above anything. They
mhm,
can make all the decision without regard of the overcome, of maybe children if they are not there anymore, because nobody knows really when, you know, the last day on earth,
yeah.
will happen. And my father was just among those people who didn't think that he could die, probably.
Mhm,
Um, we are more girls than boys, and as I grow up now and educated, I came to understand that I think my father was having all those children because he was looking more for boys than the girls he was having. Um, Not knowing that, a woman doesn't have any decision on a gender, that come from a male, but our mothers suffered because they were giving birth to girls. My mom had six children, and among six children, only two boys. The rest are girls.
mm,
The first wife had one boy. The second wife had only girls, and my mom was the third, and the fourth wife had only two boys, and the rest were girls. So see all that, I tried my best to understand the mindset of my father, as rich as he was, and to try to understand better what was going on in his mind, because I can't ask him questions. He's gone. Is it was only money, or was also like a culture and the things probably we call like a taboo. Kids cannot question anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been a very like a troublemaker probably, because I ask questions and
Mm-hmm.
that. And all those five women, or our mothers, were in one house. They were all living under one house. So the house we were born in, my father had like a compound. As rich as he built a big house, and the house contained 12 bedrooms, and so all women were in the house, and all of us, the children, were born in the same house and grow up in the same house. You could leave only when you get married, so that when a child could leave that house, but everybody was living in the same house. And when he died from car accident, he was in business trip with his last wife, which was the fifth wife, because she was still brand new woman, like a brand new wife. You can imagine how they treat the new wife. It's like she's the little doll there,
Yeah.
and try to forget about the previous women. And so she was going everywhere with him. And yeah, so when he was in a car accident, she was with him, but she survived the accident, but she was very, very badly injured. Um, she's no longer with us. She died after years.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
So that my father was living in the compound with his family and his mother and um, other probably family members on his side. Because even now, I don't even know anybody from my mother's side. I'm still looking for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I need to know many things about my mother, and only them can tell me anything about her. So that we were born, and we ended up growing up in different homes after his death.
Coco, how old were
Uh,
you when your father passed away?
I really don't know
Okay.
because I really don't know when I was born, and I'm still really like searching
Mm-hmm.
that. Whatever birthday I have, I was just given it by one of my old sister from the first wife, um, because she needed to take me to school.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she gave me the birthday. And when I was working with the Dr. Joseph on this book, I asked my sister, how how did you come up with really that
Yeah.
day and
Mm-hmm.
year? And she said, I don't know what I was doing. I need to take you to school, and I'm so sorry, because the system in Congo was this. It's not like that right now, but before, all children were registered in the father's ID.
Hmm.
So when he died, they couldn't find his ID. So all our information were in his ID. So we didn't have any like a birth certificate or anything.
I see.
So since they couldn't find our father's ID, that means they couldn't tell when all these small children were born, because when he died, we were like more than 15 children were small.
Wow.
Only 4 were married. Only 4. The rest we were still very, very young. So to get to the point, I've been trying to train my brain to try to remember even one word from my mother
Hmm.
or my father, and I can't come up with anything. I can't remember any conversation I had with my mother or any time I spend with her or my father. So, which means I was very little. If I can't remember anything that my mother said to me, and that has been killing me, has been killing me. And it's not just that
Sorry
my
about
mother
that.
died,
Mhm.
my mother died. I was in high school when she died. But the problem happened there was we got separated from them, from our mothers, after our father passed away. It's a culture. It's a culture. We have the patriarchal system in Congo, in my tribe, because in Congo there is a other tribe like a Congo, I mean like um le the Bakongo tribe, they have a matriarchal system. It's like a kids belong to the mother.
Mhm.
But in Lega tribe, we have a patriarchal system or patriarchal, culture, which the kids belong to the father.
Oh,
So
so this is
that's what,
why. So this is why all of you would have to be on his ID.
yes,
Oh my God.
yes. And this is why when he died, his family member, his brother and whatever cousins,
Mhm.
they made a decision to take all the kids away from the mothers and send them to their families so they can remarried. My mother went away with only the baby she had because um, the baby was just a few months, who was my brother.
Mhm.
And the 4th wife also went to her family with a little baby because all these women were giving birth almost at the same time. It's like my father, I I've been trying to understand his mindset, looking at my family. It's like he was under anxiety each time any woman was pregnant. Oh my gosh, she's gonna give birth to a girl again. She's gonna give birth to a girl. So the other woman need to be pregnant. The other woman need to be pregnant. It's like
For more
he
chances.
was, yeah, for more chances of having boys.
Yeah.
So the 2 women, the third was my mother, and the 4th were they had small babies, just a few months, probably 2, 3 months. So they allowed them to go with those small babies because they were still breastfeeding them. But every other child who wasn't breastfeeding, needed to be taken away from the mothers. And that's how we lost ourselves with our mothers, and we never seen them again. So we got distributed in different families. I went with one of my sister. I came to learn after, as I said in the book, after that she was my sister, she wasn't my mother. I thought all those years I was with her, she was married. All those years I thought she was my mother until one day she broke the news to me that no, she wasn't my mother, she was my sister from the child from the second wife of my father, so which she was my half sister.
Yeah.
With the one I called in the book Zaza.
Zaza, yes.
I called her Zaza in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So all those years I thought that she was my mother, but unfortunately she wasn't. And that's when the misery, started. And I started looking for my mother. And that's when I knew my father wasn't around. He was dead. All those years I didn't know that my father wasn't there. I thought Zaza's husband was my father, and Zaza was my mother. But when she told me that, okay, now where is my dad? Where is my mom? That when now they told me that dad died and the mom was sent away. And that the time they took me to school the first time. Imagine all that time I didn't know. I didn't know that my mom or my dad, died until I was to the age of going to elementary school. And those are the things I've been working on because I need to start in my own family to change those things. Every child has a right to know the history of his family. Every child has a right to know if the person who's taking care of her or him is a biological parent or is a family member.
Yeah.
It's a problem in Africa. Kids are not allowed to question. It's a problem in Africa. Kids are not told the truth. It's a problem in Africa. Anybody can do whatever you want with a child. It's a problem. And that's why I've been working hard to change those things. This culture is not helping us. It's not. We can't continue living under the culture like that. It's not helping. It's depressing. It traumatizes. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you start school, and there's a civil war going on in Congo still. Where in this period of time do you end up in the camps? And how did you get there?
It's really a long story. When I started school, the country was just very in peace. We didn't have any war. We had a dictator.
Kabila?
Not Kabila. We had Mobutu.
Oh, Mobutu, yes.
Yeah, we had Mobutu, the dictator. And with him, we didn't have a war at all. He was the only president I ever known, growing up. When I started school, it was a Catholic school, and there was only girls. And everything was just fine. I was living at one of my sister. I called because some of my sister's name I changed it a little bit just to
Of course,
protect them.
of course.
Yeah. I called her Tina was the one who took me to school because she was the first. She was the second child of my father. The
Mhm.
first was a male, and she was the first girl, and she became like the leader of the family, and that's how brave she was. She took care of everybody. And I can never thank her enough. I unfortunately I lost her last year
I'm so
uh
sorry.
due to COVID. Yeah, thank you.
Mm.
Due to COVID complications because she became very sick. She developed so many health problems due to what she took on after our father passed. Because she became like a male, she became like the leader, and then she gave birth to 12 children herself,
Mm.
and which was a lot on this uneducated woman because our father married her to one of his friend when she was just 13 or 12,
Oh my
you
God.
know when she was telling me her story, because I said that would be one book, another time, because I need to understand her and how she managed, you know, all that and to manage everybody. Um, yeah, so when I started school, things was just really good, and I was living now in the house of Martha, um, who was also the child from the first wife.
Mhm.
So she was my half sister. And that the time they told me my mom, like Zaza wasn't my mom, and my dad died. So I became really confused and traumatized. Looking back now, I think that when my trauma started.
Mm.
And also, or it could be my trauma started like when I said like the way they abuse women. For me, that started with Zaza's husband because I saw how he was beating her up, and I was angry at him, like why my father is beating my mother, because I
Mhm.
thought Zaza was my mother
Mhm.
and her husband was my father. So I could just wake up in the middle of the night due to her sound because she was crying. She was getting beat up by her husband. And that went on for years. And then she decided to run away. And that when we reach out to others who were in Bukavu, and that's how she ended her marriage. And that was the time she broke the news to me that she wasn't my mother, she was my sister. I'm sure she got confused because once we were gonna get to the others, she needed to introduce me to them because they didn't know me.
Yes.
She needed to introduce me to them, and she was gonna tell me, okay, this is another young sister, okay, and they were gonna call her, sister. So
Mhm.
how come am I the young sister and she's a sister? I think she felt the responsibility to open up the truth to me, because it was just gonna be a big disaster.
Yeah.
Um, so starting school went like that. by being in the house of mother, and I was living in the house, but my school fees were paid by Tina, who was you know, the old sister, like the second child to my father. She was the one who was paying for my school fees, and I became very, very brilliant in school. And that was the time I made decision of getting education was important than getting married first. And I decided I'm gonna get education no matter how hard financially was gonna be. But I have to be educated woman, um, and then go look for my mother after. Because as you know, in Africa, when you are a kid, they can let you go anywhere you want. But once you reach probably 18, you can now make a decision to go somewhere.
Yes.
So I finished school like that, but I moved in different homes a lot because each home I was in, like in Martha's house, her husband was just so abusive, and that's where I started getting really abused. Um, I never felt I was a kid. And that's the time I started taking care of babies. That when I couldn't play as a kid. After school, I was stuck inside the house taking care of the baby and cooking for my brother-in-law, who was a teacher to one of the school. And he was very, very abusive to
What type?
her
Mhm.
and to me,
What type of abuse
but not to
did he
his kids.
what type of abuse did he impose on you guys?
Um, even when he died, or even when I left the house, I never want to see him or talk to him ever again. That's how bad it was.
Hmm.
That's how bad it was. And when I left the house, I ran for my life without my belongings. They went to pick up my belongings after I ran away.
Hmm.
He was beating me up. He was beating his wife, insulting his wife. They had kids who were born with the disease. They need to do like a transfusion to their children often, um, because they were having like the disease that they were just running out the blood in their vein. So they need to do transfusion often to their children. And also she was just giving birth to girls. Her children, once they reached a certain age, if they didn't die before that, that means they will survive. But they were dying before a certain age because of that disease were in the blood. Looking back now after being educated, so it's like that was coming from the male, not even from my sister, because she had other two children with other two men, and those two kids didn't have that disease in their blood. So because she was giving birth to girls, and also the kids were born with this disease, um, he was really abusing her so bad.
Mm.
And also his family members were, now like in this war with her because okay, she's giving birth to girls, and she's giving birth to kids who are sick. So mm, she lost many children because of that disease, and it was all her fault. That's when I started seeing marriage, it's hell. How come everything that goes wrong in marriage, it's a woman fault?
Mhm.
Everything. Male doesn't bear any responsibility at all. So it's all a woman fault. So for beating her up, and that's when I became also Christian. I mean, like a Protestant. I was Catholic before, then I became Protestant.
Coco, in your own opinion, why is it important for women to have boys, to give birth to boys in Congo?
Honestly, I really don't know the correct answer for that. But I think because girls, once they get married, they leave, and the boys stay in the family. In my father's situation, as a businessman, I think he wanted, boys who were gonna continue, with his work. Probably that was the motivation for him to do that. But um, and many women go through this pain.
A lot.
Even my sisters went through that.
Yeah. No, it's a
My
lot.
sisters,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a lot.
you know.
I ask this question because there's a lot of men still to today. They
Mm-hmm,
expect for women to give them the choice, whatever choice that they pick,
mm-hmm.
as a child to come out of them. Meanwhile, you said it already that the women don't have control of what baby comes out of us.
No
So
control it. And
yeah,
imagine there wasn't even like an ultrasound before,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
African
Mhm.
women didn't even know what
What
they
you
were
are carrying.
carrying.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
nothing. You're gonna know which baby you have now when after you give birth. That when you're gonna find out if the baby is healthy, if the baby is not a handicap, if the baby is a male or female.
Yes.
That's the time a woman, I mean, like the African woman, find out what she had for 9 months,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it's always a woman issue, and they will make her life miserable. So I can just imagine what my mother went through for giving birth to girls all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can just imagine what my other stepmothers went through for giving birth to girls all the time in my father's hands. And that's why, he was getting married all the time. And I was told when he was in that business trip that took his life, um, he was getting ready to marry the sixth wife because the fifth wife didn't conceive immediately. So for that, it was a problem for my father. So he needed to marry the sixth wife who was gonna give birth quickly.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, he died in that car accident. He didn't marry, he didn't do all the ceremony anymore but he had already a fiance, you know. who was gonna be the sixth wife. So if he didn't die, my father was gonna get to I don't know how many women and I don't know how many children, maybe 100 children, because he was just in this mode of looking for boys often. And that make me angry knowing my father's mindset. That make me not having a good relationship with my brothers
Mhm.
because, okay, I am a girl. And looking the names that my father used to give us, like lega names, our tribe names,
Mhm.
it's unbelievable for all girls and the boys, completely different. So why African men do this to us? Why? Each name, if you know the meaning of the name, you just feel like, why my father gave me this name? What did I do wrong? Just to be born a girl? But that's how my father mindset was working. When you look my brother's name, it's completely like a king and prince and that, the one I was looking for,
Mm.
you know? Yeah, you know, it's a problem to African families. And how can we change that? We have to change it. And that's why I've been speaking up about it. And I need to start in my own family to make a change on that,
Mhm.
you know, because most of the time there, I mean, when there is a financial problem, when there is a crisis in family, they have to ask for girl, can you help? Can you help? No, I am a girl, remember? I am a girl. You are a man. You are both the chosen one, the, you know,
The prince, the king.
yeah, the king, the prince one.
Mhm.
Why do you think I am the one who have to take over now, like financially? I have to help. I have to look for money
Yeah.
to take care of you, to feed you. No, I am a girl. I was unwanted.
Mm.
And that has been depressed me for so long. Knowing that when I look, okay, this little girl, maybe I was playing in the living room and my father was looking at me like, so I was just another little thing that he didn't care because I was a girl. He didn't care. So, in which position a child can place herself knowing that my father never wanted me because I was a girl? It's painful. It's painful. African children suffer, and I am one of them. And it's the pain for all African children. But can we leave each generation under that pain? It's the choice we have to make. Do we have to change it? Do we have to make it better? We have no control on gender. We have no choice on gender. So why do we have to be mistreated because of the gender we were born in? So it's up to us if we want to change it or if we don't want to change it. Culture doesn't benefit us.
I agree.
It doesn't.
I agree
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Tradition, it's better than a culture. What do I mean by that? Tradition is, it's something that like the country's holiday. That's a tradition. You know, people gonna celebrate the country's holiday. It's for everybody. But when it's becoming a culture, it benefits one group or one gender. And that's the issue we have in entire Africa. Many things are under this umbrella of a culture, and only male benefit from it. Only male. And the female have to suffer because we are under this umbrella of culture. You try to do something different. Oh, it's not our culture. It's not our culture. And you stay quiet. And they beat you up, they punch on you, they do whatever they can because it's a culture. You can't say, I'm hurting. No, you can't say that. You are a woman. You have to obey. You have to do that. It's a culture.
Being an immigrant can be hard. Having been away from my home country for over 20 years has allowed me to experience these hardships firsthand. Throughout my journey, I've had a lot of challenges that were hard to bear. Juggling adjustment to a new country, obtaining my immigration papers, getting married, having children, establishing my career, and finding time for myself. Even though I've always had faith, I also relied on therapy, which gave me the tools to cope with the issues life brought me. My fellow dreamers, let's remove the stigma around therapy and normalize seeking help with today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp offers licensed therapists who are trained to listen and help you. Go to betterhelp.com/concrete pastures for 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp and get matched with a therapist who will listen and help in as little as 48 hours.
So it's not our fault. We receive the gender of the baby by conception. We don't do anything, women. But we are blamed for giving birth to to girls. It's our fault. And that started in my own family.
What has
So
been
it's
the
an issue.
reaction? What has been the reaction from your family when you started going against the culture?
When I grow up just very quiet girl.
Mhm.
First of all, I knew my mom wasn't around. I knew my dad wasn't around. And I wanted to get education. I didn't want to rush in marriage. I needed to get education first because my mom didn't even know how to write her name.
Mm.
And she wasn't working. She was depending 100% of my father, who I came to learn my father, the way he was dressing up our mothers, they were wearing the same piece of cloth, which we call kitenge, the African cloth.
Yes.
They were wearing the same thing, which that is in a polygamy culture or tradition,
Mm-hmm.
to try to show that I don't have a preference to, one woman or another. But you can't please everyone. It's unfortunate. You can't love two women the same way. It's impossible.
Yeah.
But they try to do that way. So there were, I was told, he was bringing those clothes the same, just different colors. So knowing what my mother went through, because as a woman, I don't think if I can be at peace sharing a man. I can't.
Mhm.
I can't share a man. And that was the reason I called off my first engagement after high school, because the man cheated just after like 2 to 3 months we got married. He cheated. And from the beginning, I told him my principles. I don't want to have a man who is like my father. I don't. I'm not going to be a police officer. I don't want to go through the same pain as my mother, because I know it's painful to any woman, even if that woman is Muslim or whatever. Sharing a man is painful. It's painful.
Mhm.
So, and I can just imagine the pain my mother was going through. So that was giving me strength and giving me um like the way I made decision to live my life. For them to live that way, it's like they were on the mercy of my father.
Mm.
He
See.
needed to make all the decisions. They couldn't do anything. She was staying home mom, all of them. And that's why after he died, everything was gone, because those 5 women didn't know what he was doing. They couldn't navigate the way he was buying the merchandise and sell them, and also the mining he had and the product where he was getting it. He couldn't teach them because there were 5. So after he died, the money was gone. Nobody was able to manage what was left behind. He
Mm.
had houses, he had like mining, but everything was gone. We grew up poor. We were born rich and we grew up poor because our mothers were not prepared
Mm.
for anything. Yeah, financially. So to be in that position, to see my mother, just to imagine what she was going through by being in that kind of marriage, gave me another perspective of how I was gonna live life and also to make a decision. So when I started telling people in my family, it was like, you are Western, you are trying to be Western. Remember, you are African. I'm not, I'm not Western. I am African and I am proud of it. But
Mhm.
what this culture is helping us for, it's
Mhm.
not helping. I am suffering here. I am suffering because of this culture. So I was called all kind of names. Even at church, when I started opposing certain things, I was called all kind of names, like covering my head. Why do I have to cover my hair when I am in church?
Mhm.
And one day I went without a scarf, and I knew I had a power at that time because all the songs were supposed to be sung that day, that Sunday. I was the one who was gonna sing them because I was singing solo. And I said, enough with this, it's gonna end. So I came without scarf, just my head, with my hair.
Oh, God.
And this, where is your scarf? I'm like, I don't need it. I have my hair. After, I mean, I read the scripture in the Bible says if a woman has her hair, she doesn't need a scarf. So I was, oh, wait a minute. So all these years I am in this religion, they've been lying to me. I'm gonna fight this. So that changed until today. They don't force people in that church anymore to wear a scarf. Just for my one action I did. So in my family also, I started talking to them about this issue. I was really like to my father's side, they don't even talk to me, and I don't care. They will never be there for me anyway. I don't even know them. The only people I knew were my sisters. And they came to understand that I was right when I started opposing certain things. They came to understand. But my father's siblings, my father's uncles and that, of course, they're against me, and they throw kind of a rock on me, and oh, you are telling white people the secret of the family. What secret? This secret is killing me. What secret? There's no taboo here. This need to stop. This need to stop, and God is not gonna do it for us. We have to do it. We have to change this. What did I benefit from my father's polygamy system? Lifestyle. Nothing except the pain. Pain. I lost my mother. I don't know her. She lost her children. That she died in pain because of the culture. My mother died in pain. Give birth to 6 children, and they are taken away from you. It's painful for a woman to die that way. It's painful. So it wasn't easy. And especially when the book came out, my uncles really were pissed off at me. They were angry at me. But it was my choice. It was my story. He gave birth to me. This is my story, and I have to tell it, and I have a right to tell the world about it.
Yes.
So back off from me. And I told them, I put everything in one book, but if I don't die, I'm gonna write the second one, because this one I wrote it with a Dr. Joseph. I was dying at that time. And I didn't want to die like an educated woman. I called Dr. Joseph. I'm like, can you put it together for me? I was writing things down for him while being in the hospital bed. And sometimes I didn't want to talk to him because I was so depressed. I was so angry, and I was so in pain. But he was very patient with me. That's how this culture in Africa is killing us. Children or women is killing us. Yeah, they were angry, but it's my story, and it's my right to tell the world about it. And I don't care about them. I don't talk to my uncles, and that's okay. I created a peaceful environment for myself.
As you should.
That's okay even if they don't talk to me, because we feel guilty, African children, we feel so guilty when we don't get along with everybody. It's impossible to get along with everybody. It's impossible to please everybody. Live your life do what is the best for you.
Mhm.
Not for him, not for that, not for your uncle, not for your, I don't know who. Those are family members. We have to love them. We have to respect them. But I have my own journey and I have to live that. I'm not gonna go in my uncle's journey. No. I learned the hard way. And it's painful. I'm the one who's paying the price of that culture. I'm the one. And I think it's time for us, African children, to say enough is enough. Once I am born, it's me and my journey. Everybody else can help. And if you think by using your help, you're gonna squeeze my life, get off. Get off. I'm gonna look for another helper in my journey. Yeah. So that's how I don't get along with my uncles. I don't even know their faces anymore, but it's okay. I will love them from distance because those who helped me are my sisters and my old brothers. My uncles didn't do anything for me, except they took everything my father worked hard for. They didn't even give our mothers anything. They sent them without anything. That's how painful it is for me with them. Why do I have to give them power again over my life? And they did that to my mother. They did that to my mother. They did that to the others, women. Everything our father had, they didn't give anything to them. Nothing. They sent them without anything. And they kept everything our father worked hard for themselves. They didn't even do that for us, his children. So that's why, for me, for them to say this, to say that, oh, you are talking about the family secrets, you are giving it to white people. As educated woman, it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I made decision to fight, and we can't continue this way. African children are crying, are suffering, and we can't continue this way. Generation after generation, it's not worth it. It's not.
Coco, you're definitely giving a voice to a lot of people, because it's not only Africans, it's a lot of communities around the world that have gone through some of what you've gone through. And I watched a documentary on YouTube of where
Yeah.
you were talking about how the Civil War had impacted you
Yes.
and how you are and what you experienced while you were in those camps. I'm going to dive into that. Do you mind just sharing with us how did you get there and your experience being in those camps and the women that were there?
That is a very hard part. It's just like sexual abuse has been very, very difficult, for me. Because everywhere I go, I'm not safe just because I am a woman. Sometimes I look in the mirror myself and say, what is wrong with me? Am I just an object? And that took me back again to question what my father was thinking when he was looking at me as a little girl, playing maybe in my just underwear, the way the babies, are. Because I went to church just when I was in elementary school. I started singing in children choir, and then I got transferred to grown-up choir because of my voice. And then this grown-up man, the pastor with the children himself, he started molesting me. What he sees in me. What he sees in me. But I think after he knew I didn't have a parent, because he was my coach, my vocal coach, I was the right target for him. And I'm just a teenager, 12. What do I know? And not only that, I was calling him a father. And also they teach no sex before marriage. And I thought, okay, this is the religion that will help me to grow safe and get education and, reach the goal for my life. But no, I was wrong. I was wrong because I wasn't safe there either. I wasn't safe home. My brother-in-law were abusing me. I wasn't safe at church where I was going to look for this peaceful moment. So I was going to school where I was much better because there was rules there and it was Catholic school. So I was more protected in school than at church and home. So when I finished school, I went to college. That was the first time for me to study with boys, because the elementary school and high school, I just went to girls' school, which we call lycée. I don't know how in your country they call it, but
Yeah,
that's
just
how we call it in
girls,
Congo.
just girls' school.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just for girls.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really have any experience of going to school with boys. It was only girls.
Mm.
So going to college, that was really the first time I studied with the boys in one classroom, which didn't go very well. After I left that school because of sexual abuse again, because the professors, all they wanted was to sleep with girls before they give the grade to the girls. And the boys need to pay money before they get their grade. So this was really traumatized again, to me. So I changed school, and my church, they open up university. So I said, I'm gonna go to that because it's a Christian, school. This time I'm gonna be safe. So my sister, who was paying for me at that time, she said she was gonna pay for it. But then after a few months, after just one semester, she told me she couldn't continue paying for that. I need to stop. This was like over the phone. She's telling me, we went to Changugu. We didn't even have a phone system in Congo at that time. So I went to the border of Rwanda. At the hotel there was a lady who was working there. She was my sister's friend. And so she was using that line to communicate with me over the phone. And that's when she told me that she wasn't gonna continue paying for my education. I need to stop. And imagine, in all these 22 children, only 4 children have high school diploma.
Wow.
Only 2 have university diploma in all 22 children.
Wow.
That's how catastrophic my family became after our father passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been telling also people. Having a lot of children is not a blessing, because we became like a curse. We became a problem to our older sisters financially to take care of all of us. It became a problem. They couldn't afford to educate all of us, except somebody like me who was stubborn, who wanted just to get education, and they did whatever they could. And I can't thank them enough. I can never repay them for them to be able to pay for my education until high school. Then the college, they couldn't do it anymore. They couldn't. Even when now I got here, that's when I put myself back in school and I took loan. Thank God in this country, you can take loan. It's not like in Congo where you don't have that option,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So for me to get to that point now, when she told me she couldn't do it anymore, I went to Rwanda because I had another sister there. I spoke about her, how she became so abusive to me. I didn't expect that from her. I tried to work. I opened up the hair salon, which was very successful. Each time when I put my mind on something, it always flourished.
Mm-hmm.
And then I lost that hair salon when the war in Rwanda started in 1994, when the genocide happened.
Yes.
So I went back to my country without nothing, Nancy, just the clothes that I had on me. Everything else, the money I was putting to the bank, nothing. The hair salon was gone.
Mm.
So I was able to save some of like one of my friend and her 2 children, which I claim were my children, to cross the border. I was gonna lose everything again, like losing my life that day for protecting my friend, for taking my friend to my country. When I went back to Congo to get a job, it became a problem. Then my sister sent me some money. I started a small business with that. I started supporting myself, because one thing I told myself in life is this: I will never be a sexual object of a man just to try to survive.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to die than being with a man just because he needs to give me money to buy food and to that. There is a time I collapsed when I was in high school because I didn't eat for several days and I need to go to school. There is a time, I was using the lotion of like a palm oil. You boil it first, became kind of like a white, not red anymore. And then you put lemon in it to kill the smell. I did that as a girl. because I just didn't want any man to, to touch me because he has to give me money. Because they do take advantage of us like that. When they know you are poor, you are a girl, you need lotion, you need nice clothes, you need to do your hair, you need pad, you need that. And that's when they take advantage. But we need to try to understand, accept the situation you are in at that time, and try to fight, look for solution your way, not a man. A man, if he give you money, it's not for free. He's gonna need something in return.
Mm-hmm.
And they know we don't have a job. African women or African children, African youth, we don't have a job. Our government don't do anything for us. Nothing. Nothing. So for me to take care of myself was that I accepted that, okay, my parents are not around. I have to do everything by myself. So when I couldn't do anything anymore, then like when I came back from Rwanda and I started that small business in the market, so grow again as usual. I was selling like a children clothes to people I knew they have those age of children, and like a hair product and also blouses for women. So being in church where everybody knew me, I have like the target, like a group of people I knew they were gonna buy my product. And that's how that grow also. And I started taking care of myself, buying food, buy clothes, buy lotion, buy that. And people didn't know my pain until I wrote my story. They didn't know my pain. But I was going through pain financially, emotionally, everything. I was fighting for my life. So in 1996, the war started. When the war started in 1996, I was now in another town. I ran away to Kenya as everybody was running away. Then after 1 year and a half there, I decided to go back again to my country. And in 1998, when I went back to my country, I looked for a job, Nancy, even to be a cashier at the bookstore probably, or just at boutique. I couldn't get it. Another problem in Congo is this. You cannot be hired at any job, and this is no exception. Any job in Congo, for you to be hired, you have to sleep with people. Which country is that? What kind of life is that? And that's why I never worked for anybody before. Because of that, preserving my dignity, preserving my dignity. The same way I accepted to fail for the first time in college. When I was in college in Congo, that was the first time I failed in school because I refused to sleep with professors. They didn't want to give my grade until I slept with them. And I said, no, I'm not stupid. So if you don't want to give my grade, it's okay to fail. I went to give the report to the administration. The response was that, do you think you stay in high school here? Is that a country where girls are not protected? Nobody could protect me in school. You think you stay in high school here? This is college. people who had children themselves, they didn't care. So I failed. So for me to try to get a job, I put myself back again in school, like studying computer, because now computer started at that time. I said, I need to get the skills to try to find a job, because I couldn't even find a job to be a cashier in any boutique or any place, because they weren't sleeping with me first before they hire me. And when you look at this person who's telling you you're gonna have to do something for me first, you just feel nauseous. You feel nauseous. Look at, I mean, I'm not like I'm not like disrespect, people, but not just because you are a man and you are working, maybe you are a gate boy, you think for me to enter in this building, I have to sleep with you first so you can open that door. That's how it is in Congo. So you have to start, if you have to enter to apply to that job in there, so the person who is at the door, at the gate, is gonna want you to give him something. For the place where you're gonna leave the application, he's gonna want you to give something. The person who's gonna hire you, the boss who's gonna be your boss, you're gonna have to sleep with him every day. What kind of country is that? That's why I never want to work for anybody. I developed this mentality of creating my own little job all the time, because the women are not safe in any institution, none, and they are not protected, and there is no law that protect them. So when I couldn't find a job after, and I did that, like a computer education. So while I was doing the computer education, the Second War started. When that Second War started, I was still looking for a job. And now at this time, I am homeless in my own country, because I was living at one of my sister's house, and her husband didn't pay rent for more than 6 months, and my sister didn't know. So they kicked us out of the house. My sister had the children, and we were sleeping in the tent. In our own country, we became homeless. So I need to get a job. I didn't want to find myself in hands or in arms of a man to pay rent or to eat. Just as usual. That was my mindset, and still until today. I can't sleep with a man just because I am in need of money. And the girls, African girls, I'm pleading with you, do not accept to die. If you're gonna die, it's okay. Die with your dignity instead. Instead, I didn't die. God opened other doors. So that's how I find a job in politics. I never want to work in politics. I hated it because I was under just the dictator Mobutu. He was the only president I've known since I was born. I never voted in my country. He was the only candidate all the time. Yeah. So there was a lady where I was going to school like for computer training. This new government in 1998, they needed secretaries. As they needed secretaries, but to enter there, you need to sleep with somebody for you to get hired, to get a job. But likely for me, because where I was going to school for computer training, they they came there, they need to get their work to be done because they didn't have a secretary to work for them. We had like two government at that time because there was a government, the President Kabila in Kinshasa, and in East we have another president who was Wamba Diawamba. This is the second war now. So the country was divided in two. So in East there is a one government, there is a president, and by West and the entire country there in Kinshasa there is another president, that is another government. So they needed people to work for them, and the owner of that school where I was attending gave them condition because the wife was my neighbor in Bukavu, in my hometown, and they were a friend with my sister. So we became like families, members, thing like that. I mean, like African, wow, when you are neighbor, it's like it's one family now.
Yes.
Yeah. So she was there for me, and I was taking that training or that education there to that school on credit. I was gonna pay them after because I didn't have the money to pay for it, but they agreed for me to study and then pay after when I start working. So that was for me like a gift. I became very, very good in computer thing, and because I had also the ability to type fast. So he told them, if you wanted me to give you guys my computers, you're gonna have to hire her. And that's how I got a job in politics without sleeping with anybody in first place. Yeah. Because of that condition. He gave them that condition. If you want me give you my computers, you need to hire her. And I got hired by one of the minister. So working for that minister, we were two girls in the office. The first salary for me, I rented a house immediately, like 3 bedrooms. So we got out of the tent. I wanted to move by myself, then how I'm gonna leave my sister here with the kids. So I rented the 3 bedrooms instead of 1 bedroom just for myself. So my salary was just to support my family at that time now. And then the first time I was sexually abused was there with my first boss. He was already going out with my coworker, the other secretary, because there were 2 of us. She was a mother of 2. She was a single mother. So when he was going already out with her, it was okay, I'm safe. And you see this minister, he was an old guy in his 50s. I'm just in my early 20s. And one day he lied to me. Then he said, I mean, he called me and like, we have a meeting and we're gonna do that meeting at the hotel on weekend. So you guys need to be there at certain time. When I told the other girl, I'm like, do you know that we have a meeting on Saturday and we're gonna have to be there and that. So then she went to ask him that, oh, Colette told me that we have a meeting, and at that time, what kind of meeting is that? Oh no, oh no, there's no meeting. Oh, so that means you are inviting her at the hotel and that, so they became like, they're fighting because they were already together.
Mm-hmm.
So he came to me very furious and he started, yelling at me. I'm like, I thought it was a meeting for everybody. What is wrong with that for me talking about the meeting with her? No, that was just you. And I'm like, why me only at the meeting? But that's how, women in Congo and I think in entire Africa are not safe at workplace. The presence of each woman at workplace, it's just like you are the sexual object for any man there, for your boss. He was already with that girl. He was a father himself. His kids were in France or Belgium. He was coming from Europe. This is an old guy, but other men, children, he thinks they are just an object there for him. He got mad at me just because I told the other secretary that we have a meeting on Saturday. Are you gonna be there? So that issue became very, very bad. And then after another day, he said, okay, we have a meeting here at the office. And I got there was no meeting for everybody except me. Why? And then that was the first time he raped me. My own boss. My own boss at work. They have no pity. I'm just a little girl in front of him. This is someone who is a father himself. His kids are in Europe. His wife is in Europe. And just because I am a secretary, I need that salary to pay rent, to take care of myself, to eat, to do anything. And now I am on the mercy of this old man. And there is no justice in Africa. Why our leaders don't do anything about these things like this? We are not protected. Here in America, you can't get away with that. You can't. You can't. But in Africa, they do it because there's no punishment for it. So we have to fight ourselves. My own boss. I left there in tears. I explained that in the book for people to understand it. They can read it for themselves.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
After that, they changed me, the boss. I need a job. That's when now they transferred me to work with the president of that government there. because they saw the way I was doing my job. They liked it. They transferred me to work with him to be like a personal assistant. But I am already in pain here. Then we moved. So we went to another city. I explained how I went there in the book. People need to read it for
Yes.
them to understand each part,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So when we get to the other city, that's where now the worst happened. Each boss I'm trying to work with, the first things he wants is to sleep with me. There is a time I did if one of the minister invites me, can you come and do this work for me? And that I'm like, I'm not the only secretary here. I can have the ability to work very well, but I'm not the only one. Okay? I'm not doing it. So when you try to get there, and so I got to the point, if any minister, call me, I work hard like like I was in my period,
Mm-hmm.
just to try to protect myself. That's how bad it is in Congo for women to work. I work hard to pretend that I was in my period. And you get there, yeah, he's gonna start touching you. No, I have my period on. Okay. Maybe next time. Next time, I'm not coming. If I'm not gonna do that job, I'm not gonna do it. And don't pay me. That's fine. I got to that point. So when we got attacked now, again, we were at the hotel and we got attacked. So there was like the Rwandese army that attacked us.
Mm-hmm.
And we were with Ugandan army. We didn't even have a Congolese army. We had Ugandan army. And we got attacked. My boss, who was the president, Wamba Diawamba, we ran away. He abandoned me. And now I find myself in this camp with the soldiers only. How can you abandon women in a camp? I'm just in my 20s and you abandon me in the camp. He was taken by the Ugandan army to Kampala. And one night we were like several girls. It was difficult to sleep. We were sleeping on the floor, on the ground. Very difficult to sleep because soldiers are coming and go, trying to protect ourselves. So I'm abandoned in this camp full with soldiers, Ugandan soldiers. And that night we couldn't survive it. I was taken. And as I explain it, when I was writing the material down, sometimes Dr. Joseph, wanted to interview me and I couldn't speak. And most of the time when we finished this session, I was taken to the hospital because I'm trying to end my life. But speaking became like a therapy to try, because I was keeping all those things inside of me. And that's why I keep telling African women, we need to speak up. We need to speak up about all those things we go through. We need to speak up. If we don't speak up, the next generation gonna suffer the same way. The same way. But we need to clean up and to say enough is enough. Why there is now like accountability to many companies here, let's say in America and Europe, because women got to the point enough is enough. Me Too movement was born. Many big men are going to prison by just doing what African men, do to us. Many here. Priests are going to prison here for what they did before to young boys. But why not in Africa? Why not? My presence at workplace, it doesn't mean I am a sexual pleasure for my boss or for any man there. It doesn't have to be that way. How can women get out of poverty if they can't work? Because each time they have to go to work, that means they have to be sexually abused there. How can we go forward? So being left in that camp, that I got raped that night by these soldiers. My life never been the same again. My life never been the same again. I got destroyed completely. Destroyed. And the person I was working for didn't even care. After I told him what happened to me, I went to report it to the general. It's not my fault. Your boss who abandoned you here is responsible for it. Really? I am somebody else's child here. Why do we have to live like animals in Africa? There's no regard for women and children. Why? Why? For how long this have to continue on? For how long? Because when you look at, I think of, even today, I'm still suffering from like PTSD, how I still hearing their voices, the way they were laughing, raping me. You tie somebody else's child like that and laughing, making turn. African men need to get to the point of knowing that being women, we are not object. We give birth to them. We nourish them. We take care of them. And in return, what they do to us, it's horrible. Horrible. They have no regard at all, or respect or consideration to women. you know. The way they raped me was like animals. Animals, you know. And until today, I always feel I just want to die. I did my best to preserve my life. I accepted to go hungry to bed, not go look for men to give me money so I could survive because I don't have a father, I don't have a mother to provide for me since I was a kid. And here I was in hands of animals with the boss who didn't care. He had the kids himself. They were here in America. And he couldn't even protect me. How can you abandon girls in a camp like that? But that's what he did. You know. When I reached Kampala, running for my life, I took all kind of pills. Fear of pregnancy, fear of diseases. The next month I got my period. I was okay. One thing resolved. I'm not pregnant. But the worst was yet to come from that. I went in that work just to try to survive, just to get a paycheck. I went to work and I got killed. I'm still breathing, but I'm dead already because of what they gave to me. In your own country, you know, I took all kind of pills I could think of, Nancy. I went to the pharmacy, bought them. I was discharging awful things. I was just so a mess. And I got there, I'm telling him like, you need to stay there to try to fight for you? Fight for you? You are safe. I'm not safe there. And you still want me to stay there to fight for you? Is this a political thing? Do I care about politics? I don't. I don't. You care about being a president? I don't. I'm dead here. You know. So what I give all the details in the book if people wanna read to understand how that went down. But it's so painful. Very, very painful. Until today. And when I came to America, you know, I asked myself, I need to be tested, my entire body. My entire body. I'm not that Coco anymore. I can't say I'm clean. I'm the same Coco. No. And my sister was like, oh, you don't have to. No, you don't understand. I'm not the same anymore. And all this, when I was given a result, it was painful until today. That's how I got infected. You know. So you know, Africa it's like being a woman, it's a death sentence. Being a woman, it's a death sentence. Why do we have to be that way? Why? I was born healthy. Before all this, the only medication I used to take was malaria medication. I'm sorry, Nancy.
Coco, I'm so sorry. I'm so honored that you are trusting us with your story and for sharing so much of yourself with us. This is a tough one.
You know,
Take your time. Take your time. I often, you know, wonder when I have a guest on here, and Martin is well known, and I was very touched when she reached out to me to have you tell your story on this platform. She could have called anybody, and you ended up here to share with us. It's been a struggle for me because I read a lot of what you have in your book, and I watched your video on YouTube. It's been a struggle. The 2 times that we canceled to do this, it was for you, but it was a relief for me because I know this is going to change a lot of people's lives that have no voice. So many people are going to feel that they are heard. Their story is out through you. So many people that have been affected by this senseless war from Congo. We've been listened to in Congo. We've been watched in Congo. And those women that have gone through this, that have lost so many people through this war, they're going to feel hurt. So I'm beyond honored and grateful that you're sitting right here with me and sharing your story.
sorry.
Don't apologize.
I'm sorry. I wish
Do not
I
apologize.
wish it was a beautiful story, but it's a mess, painful.
This is the
And
reason why we
why?
have this space. This is the reason
Yeah.
why we have this space. This is a space where we tell all of our stories, all of it.
Why can't we just be like others in Africa? Why can't we? Why not? You know, I used to take only malaria medication when I was born or growing up. And today, I take more than 20 pills a day. I'll send you a picture of it. I have a big bag of medication. The money that is spent on my treatment every month, just one medication for the infection they give to me, the HIV infection. I was supposed to get that, really, me? Absolutely not. But the thing that I used to run away from, I accepted to go to bed hungry to avoid pregnancy and illnesses like that. I went to get at work during the wartime. Why? Why we can't be safe in our continent? Why? I never thought I'll be out of my continent. I hated English class in high school. I hated it because I loved to be in my country. But it's not safe for any child or any female. One medication for HIV is 2,000 something. And you can't be on one type only. You have to be on 2 or 3 type of medication. Per month, 30 pills. So it's in like more than 5,000 just for one kind of illness that I have to fight per month. I have no father. I have no mother. And then after that, it become others. The medication causes side effect. You have another illness, another organ, it got destroyed with the medication, another this. Now I'm taking medication for every part of my body. Because I was abandoned in the camp. Every part of my body, I do take a medication for it. When you look at me, you're like, oh no, you are fine, you are healthy. I have invisible disability. Invisible. Something that I wasn't born with. Scars that is in me. From the time I lost my parents, everybody took advantage. Everybody. Everybody. My family, at church, at work, my country took advantage. Why do we have to live that way? I remember when Dr. Joseph wanted to talk to me. And I said, I don't trust you. I don't trust African men. How can I, after going through all those things they put me through? But he's different, African man. He is. He is. And us African women, we need to stand up and say, enough is enough. We are the children of that land. We are the children of that land. If people call themselves pastors, what do they teach? They have to live up for that. Don't touch women. Don't touch children. You have a wife, And if you don't have a wife, get married. But this is becoming like sex. Women in church, girls in church, we are like an object. Where can we go to be safe? You know, every day I have to take a medicine. I cry. I push myself to finish school, even how sick I was, and even how sick I am. I push myself. African woman is a strong creature on earth. African woman, we give so much. We get nothing except pain from people we think we love. You know, we give so much, African women.
Coco, you've been here for some time now, and going through your journey, have you had a chance to speak to any therapists through your healing journey? Because I know speaking with you before this conversation, your mindset is very different. You've moved on, even though you're still the voice of all of the women in Congo and the world that have experienced what you've experienced. Have you spoken to any therapist, and are you still doing that in finding healing?
Yes, I've been on a therapy since 2000, since I've been here until today. And I think I'll never stop it until I open the entire luggage, because I still have things I haven't even touched with my therapist. You know,
how important is therapy to any woman, let's say, that has gone through what you've gone through? What has been your experience?
if I still breathing today, it's because of the therapy I go through. Otherwise, I took pills several times to end my life. I ended up in hospital. They put the like the machine to try to drain all the medication out of my system. I went through that. As I said also in book, there is a time I tried to end my life in the river. Took my sleeping pills. I took some of just medication that I know they can kill me. I've been through that, the pain, and constantly I am on suicide, watch, because I do tell my doctors, I don't want to be here. Everything was taken away from me. Everything. I'm in pain. Everything was taken away from me. But I have a good team who are human, I can call them. They do whatever they can, to be there for me. And African, let's say today, I do work. I never give up on on working, even how sick I am. When I am in the hospital, I don't go to work. When I'm out and recover, I go back to work.
Mhm.
Now, let's say I'm helping to work with refugees who are coming. Before, I used just to work with the business companies. Right now, since the stroke and the COVID, because I can work from home, so they need my help, and also with my story, this organization reached out to me like, you can fit better with us, and so I am talking to all African here. Get therapy. It's not a taboo or a sin to see a psychiatric or a counselor. We are broken, African people. We are broken. And it's okay to get help. We are not a superhero. We are not rocks. We are just human beings who can get hurt like anybody else. And so I am doing my best to tell them to seek help as well as myself. I am doing it. I'm not ashamed of telling people I see psychiatric or I see a therapist. It's okay. It's okay. And we have to go above that, African people. And we are not supposed to shame people who are going to see a therapist.
Mhm.
We don't have to shame them. We have to support them instead. Because the problem is that people are not willing to go see therapists because of the shame people put on them, the stigma that is on the, like mental health. Who can go through what I went through and not being sick mentally?
Yeah.
Who can? We are not a rock. We can pretend being strong, but we are hurt. So I have been under counseling, under therapy. I do take medication for PTSD. Those who don't know, PTSD is a post PT post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
It's a disease that comes based on the event you go through. As I said, I was born healthy, very healthy. And before the only medication I could take was a malaria medication. But today I have a bag. If you want, I can go grab it and show
Sure.
it to you.
Don't worry.
You know, a luggage of medication.
Okay.
That's where I am. It's like going to see the doctor, like a doctor's visit for me. It's another full-time. It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Is that life? The quality of life that I had was taken away from me. But I refused to remain silent, and I refused to die like that. I refused to give them power. And that's why I push myself to finish school. And even, when I don't work all the time, I go to work and provide for myself because I refused to be there victim. I refused.
And you, my
And
dear,
we
you and
have to tell them
yeah,
we refuse to think what you guys think we are. We are women, we are strong. We nourish them, we feed them, we take care of them. So I refused that. So I do take my medication every day. I do see my therapist every 2 weeks. Even during the COVID time, I was on videos, and I'm still doing like a video with my therapist, because I still have a lot to unveil
yes.
in me
Mhm.
that I'm still working on. Yeah. You
Your
know,
story is very chilling and inhuman. I am so grateful for your bravery and for honoring us with your powerful story. It's inspirational. Don't think for any second that your story is not going to inspire someone out there. Your story is going to inspire, it has inspired me sitting here. We are all going through something. We have our crosses that we are carrying, some heavier than others. I am grateful that you are here to inspire all of us around the world. And your story is going to live on forever. We recorded this, and this is going to be around for a long time to change the future for others, for other women, for other kids. So I'm so grateful for you making space for us today to be here. For anybody who wants to get your book and to support you, your book can be found on Amazon and also on iBooks and in Barnes and Nobles as well. So please, let's support Ms. Coco. She works with other organizations also that help women that have been in her situation. So let's support. I'll have the links. I'll have the contacts. And I salute you. It's an honor.
thank you for having me, Nancy. Thank you. Yeah, I know it's not easy for me to talk.
No, you did
It's not
just
easy at all. But thank you for being patient with me.
no, thank you. Thank you.